Hello, my friend, and welcome to another episode of Fluent English Journey. I'm really glad you're here with me today. Maybe you're walking outside, maybe you're sitting at home relaxing, or maybe you're on your way to work or school. Wherever you are, thank you for spending this time with me. On this podcast, we always talk about two things. First, how you can improve your English in simple, natural ways, and second, how you can grow as a person. Today's topic is something I think is very important for everyone, not just for learning English, but also for life. We're going to talk about beliefs, the things you believe about yourself, about other people, and about the world. Now, you may not always think about your beliefs, but they're very powerful. They shape the way you see life. They guide your feelings, your choices, and your actions. In fact, your beliefs can even create your reality. Let me explain what I mean. Have you ever noticed how two people can face the exact same problem but react in totally different ways? For example, imagine two students take a difficult English test. One student says, "This is hard, but I can learn from my mistakes and do better next time." The other student says, "I'm just bad at English. I'll never get better." Do you see the difference? Both students had the same challenge, but their beliefs shaped how they responded. Beliefs are like invisible glasses we wear. When you put on a pair of glasses, they change how you see everything. In the same way, beliefs change how you look at life. If you believe you can do something, you will try, and often you will succeed. But if you believe you can't do it, you may not even start. That's why beliefs are so powerful. In today's episode, we will explore this step by step. First, I'll explain what a belief really is in very simple words. Then we'll talk about where beliefs come from because none of us are born with them. We'll also look at how beliefs can help us move forward, but also how some beliefs can hold us back. These negative ones are called limiting beliefs. And of course, I won't just tell you the problem, I'll also give you some practical tips for how you can slowly change your beliefs and, with time, change your life. So, let's begin with the big question. What is a belief? We all live with beliefs every single day, but many people never stop to ask, what does belief really mean? A belief is not something complicated. Simply put, a belief is an idea you feel sure about. It's something you accept as true, even if you don't have complete proof. For example, if you believe that hard work pays off, you will keep working even when things are tough. If you believe that people are generally kind, you will treat others with kindness. A belief is not just a passing thought. Thoughts come and go quickly. For example, right now you might think, "I'm enjoying this podcast," or maybe, "I'm a little hungry." These are just thoughts. But when a thought becomes strong, when it stays in your mind and feels true to you, it becomes a belief. It's important to know that a belief doesn't have to be a fact. Just because you believe something, that doesn't mean it's 100% true. For example, someone might believe, "I am terrible at learning languages." Is that really a fact? No, it's only a belief. But if that person accepts it as truth, they might stop trying to learn, and in the end, their belief shapes their reality. So, here's the key idea. Beliefs are powerful because they change how you see the world and how you act in the world. Sometimes we confuse thoughts, beliefs, and facts, but they're not the same. Let's make it clear. A thought is something temporary. It comes into your mind, and then it can go away. For example, today you might think, "I'm doing well in English." But tomorrow, after a difficult day, you might think, "Maybe I'm not good at English." Thoughts can change quickly, sometimes in minutes, sometimes in seconds. But a belief is different. A belief is like a thought that has stayed with you for a long time. It's a thought that you have repeated to yourself again and again until you accept it as true. It becomes part of how you see yourself and the world. And, because it stays with you, it often guides your choices without you even noticing it. Now, let's compare beliefs with facts. A fact is something that is true no matter what anyone thinks or feels. Facts can be tested, proven, and they don't depend on your opinion. For example, it's a fact that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius at sea level. It's a fact that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. These things are true whether you believe them or not. But beliefs are not like that. Beliefs are personal. They depend on your experiences, your feelings, and the way you see life. For example, some people believe the world is full of kind and friendly people. Other people believe the world is dangerous and you can't trust anyone. The world itself is the same, but their experiences of the world are completely different because their beliefs shape the way they see it. Now, let's look at some simple, everyday beliefs. These are the kinds of beliefs most of us carry around without even thinking about them. Maybe you believe that hard work always leads to success. Or maybe you believe that you're not good at speaking in public. Some people believe they are lucky. Others believe they are unlucky. Some believe money is the key to happiness. Others believe love is the most important thing. Think about it. These are not facts. You can't prove that hard work will always bring success in every situation. You can't prove that someone is always unlucky. But if a person believes these things, that belief will guide how they act, how they feel, and even what they pay attention to in life. Let me share a personal story. For many years, I had the belief that I was not good at learning new languages. I told myself again and again, I'm just not a language person. And of course, what happened? Because I believed this, I avoided opportunities to practice. I felt nervous whenever I had to speak in another language. I didn't try very hard, and I didn't practice enough. So of course, I didn't improve. My belief created my reality. It wasn't that I couldn't learn. It was that my belief stopped me from giving myself a fair chance. Maybe you've had a similar experience. Maybe you've told yourself something like, I'm not good at English, or I can't do math, or I'm too shy to speak in front of people. And because you believed it, you didn't give yourself the chance to grow. Most of our beliefs don't come out of nowhere. We usually get them from our families, our culture, our schools, and our early experiences. For example, if your parents often said, be careful, the world is full of danger, you might grow up believing that the world is not safe. If a teacher once told you, you're really smart, you might grow up believing that you're intelligent and capable. The problem is that many times we don't stop to ask, is this belief true? Is this belief helpful? Most of the time we just accept these beliefs and live by them without ever questioning them. So I want to pause here and invite you to think about your own beliefs. What are some of the things you believe about yourself? What are some things you believe about people or about life in general? Do you know where these beliefs came from? And most importantly, are they really true? Remember this. Beliefs are powerful because they feel like the truth. But they're not always facts. And here is the good news, because beliefs are not facts, they can be changed. We'll talk more about how to change your beliefs later in this episode. For now, I just want you to start noticing them. Pay attention to the beliefs you carry with you every day, because awareness is the first step toward change. Now that we've started noticing our beliefs, here's the next step. Try to see them as stories you've been telling yourself. Every belief is like a story in your mind. Some stories are helpful, they give you confidence, they push you forward. But other stories may be holding you back. The very first step is not to fight them or change them right away. The first step is just to see them clearly. Once you see the story, you can decide if it's one you want to keep or one you want to rewrite. The invisible power of beliefs. Let's talk about something simple but very powerful, the invisible power of beliefs. Beliefs are not always loud. They don't stand in front of you, shouting, "Hey, I'm here." In fact, most of the time, they are completely silent. But silence does not mean weakness. Beliefs work quietly in the background, like a computer program running without you noticing. They guide your thoughts, shape your feelings, and influence your choices, even when you don't realize it's happening. That's what makes them so powerful. They can quietly push you forward toward success, or they can quietly hold you back from your goals. And because it feels so natural, you don't even notice the effect. Let's take an example that many of you will connect with: learning a language. Imagine two people are both learning English. The first person has the belief, I'm just bad at languages. I've never been good at learning, and I never will be. The second person has the belief, learning a language takes time, but I can do it. I just need to keep trying. Now, let's think about how these two different beliefs shape their actions. The first person, the one who believes they are bad at languages, will probably feel nervous every time they speak. They might avoid situations where they have to use English because it feels uncomfortable. When they make mistakes, and of course, everyone makes mistakes when learning, they see it as proof. See, I was right. I'm bad at this. Because of that, they give up easily. They don't practice much, and slowly, their belief becomes their reality. They don't improve, not because they can't, but because their belief stopped them from giving themselves the chance to improve. Now, let's look at the second person. This person believes that they can learn. So even when they make mistakes, they don't think, I'm a failure. Instead, they think, this is normal. Mistakes are part of the process. They keep practicing, they might ask for help, they might try new methods, and slowly, they get better. Their belief creates a completely different reality, a positive one. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's simply the quiet power of belief. It shapes what you do, how you feel, and what results you get. There's actually a name for this. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe you've heard that phrase before. A self-fulfilling prophecy means this: what you believe influences what you do, and what you do makes your belief come true. Here's a simple example outside of language learning. Imagine someone believes, I'm not interesting. People won't want to talk to me. Because of this belief, they stay quiet in conversations. They don't share their thoughts. They don't open up. And what happens? Other people don't get the chance to know them. Then the person says, see? I was right. People don't find me interesting. But here's the truth. It wasn't that they weren't interesting. It was that their belief made them act in a way that kept people away. This kind of cycle happens in many areas of life. In relationships, in school or work, in learning new skills, and even in following our dreams. Our beliefs quietly guide us. And because we act in ways that match our beliefs, we end up creating a reality that fits them. There's a very well-known idea called the growth mindset, which comes from an American psychologist named Carol Dweck. Maybe you've heard of it before. The growth mindset is the belief that abilities are not fixed, they can be developed. With practice, effort, and learning, people can get better at almost anything. For example, someone with a growth mindset might say, I'm not good at this yet, but if I keep trying, I'll improve. On the other hand, someone with a fixed mindset believes their abilities are set in stone. They think they're either good at something or not, and there's nothing they can do to change it. Studies have shown that people with a growth mindset often do much better in school, at work, and in life. Why? Because they believe improvement is possible. They don't give up easily. They see challenges not as walls that block them, but as opportunities to grow stronger. And again, this is just another example of the invisible power of belief at work. Let me share a personal story with you. For a long time, when I was younger, I believed that I wasn't creative. I thought creativity was something only certain people had: painters, musicians, writers, designers. But not me. Because of that belief, I never tried creative activities. I stayed away from art classes. I didn't write stories. I didn't even try to learn an instrument. But one day, a friend encouraged me to try writing, just for fun. No pressure, no judgment, just give it a go. At first, I was nervous because in my mind I thought, I'm not creative. Why am I even trying? But then something surprising happened. I actually enjoyed it. The more I wrote, the more I realized that creativity isn't something you're born with or without. It's something you can develop, just like any other skill. That one belief, I'm not creative, had stopped me for so many years. But once I let go of it, I discovered a whole new part of myself. And this is something that can happen to anyone. The beliefs we hold about ourselves, about who we are, and about what's possible can either open doors or quietly close them. So I want to ask you this. What are some beliefs that might be shaping your life right now? Maybe it's a belief about your ability to learn English. Maybe it's about your talents. Maybe it's about the kind of person you think you are. Sometimes these beliefs are so deep that we don't even notice them. But they're there, quietly influencing what we try, what we avoid, how we feel, and what results we see. Here's the good news. Because beliefs are invisible and personal, they can also change. You can start changing them today by simply noticing them. When you hear yourself thinking, I can't do this, or I'm not good at that, stop for a moment and ask, is this really true? Or is this just a belief I've been carrying around without questioning? The more you notice your beliefs, the more power you have to choose new ones. Beliefs that support you. Beliefs that help you grow. Beliefs that help you create the kind of reality you actually want. Where do our beliefs come from? Now that we've talked about what beliefs are and how they shape your reality, let's take a step back and ask an important question. Where do our beliefs come from? This is really important because if we understand where a belief comes from, we can start to see it more clearly. And when we see it clearly, we can make a choice. Do we want to keep this belief, change it, or let it go? Most of our beliefs don't just appear out of nowhere. They come from the people and the places around us, especially when we are young. Think about your family. From the time we are small children, we hear messages from our parents, grandparents, and other family members. Maybe your parents often said, work hard and you will succeed. Or maybe they said, life is difficult. Don't expect too much. Without even thinking about it, we take these ideas into our minds. Our beliefs don't just stay in one area of life. They become part of the story we tell ourselves about the world. One of the biggest sources of beliefs is our culture. Every culture teaches us certain ideas about what is good, what is bad, what is possible, and what is not. For example, in some cultures people are taught that it's better to be quiet, respectful, and humble. In other cultures, people are encouraged to speak up, share their opinions, and stand out. These are cultural beliefs. And because they feel normal to us, we don't often stop to question them. We simply live by them without thinking about where they came from. Another big influence is school. Maybe when you were young, a teacher told you, you're very good at math, or you're not such a strong writer. Even if the teacher didn't mean it in a big way, those words can stay with you for years. They can create a belief about who you are. You might start to believe that you're the math kind of person, but not the writing kind of person. And the more you believe it, the more it shapes your actions, and slowly, it becomes your reality. The same thing can happen with friends, classmates, and even the media we consume, TV shows, movies, and especially social media. All of these things can quietly plant beliefs in our minds. And of course, one of the biggest sources of beliefs is our own experience. Imagine you try something once and it doesn't go well. Maybe you had to give a speech in class and you felt nervous and forgot some of your words. After that, you might start to believe, I'm not good at public speaking. Or maybe you tried to cook a meal and it didn't taste the way you wanted. You might think, I'm a bad cook. But here's the important thing. One experience does not mean it will always be that way. Still, our minds love to make stories to explain the world, and those stories easily turn into beliefs. So, I want to invite you to reflect for a moment. Think about one belief you have about yourself. Maybe something like, I'm not good at learning languages. I'm not a creative person. I always mess things up. Now ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Did someone tell you this? Was it based on one or two experiences you had in the past? Is this belief actually true? Or is it just something you accepted without ever questioning? It's not always easy to see where our beliefs started. But the moment we begin asking these questions, we open the door to change. We begin to realize that many of our beliefs were given to us by our family, our culture, our teachers, or our past experiences. And if those beliefs were given to us, that means we can also choose whether to keep them or to let them go. The very first step is simply to notice. So as you go through your day, pay attention to the beliefs that guide your actions. Ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Is it helping me or is it holding me back? Beliefs and self-fulfilling prophecies. Now let's connect this to another powerful idea, the idea of a self-fulfilling prophecy. The phrase might sound a little complicated at first, but don't worry, it's actually very simple. A self-fulfilling prophecy is when a belief you hold influences your actions, and your actions end up creating results that make the belief come true. And whether you realize it or not, you've probably experienced this in your own life. A self-fulfilling prophecy is when your belief about something makes you act in a way that causes that belief to come true. In other words, what you expect to happen influences how you behave. And because of that, the outcome often matches your belief. It's like you predict something, and without even realizing it, your actions help make that prediction real. Let's look at a simple example learning English. Imagine you deeply believe that you're not good at languages. Maybe this belief started because you struggled in school, or maybe someone told you that when you were younger. Because of this belief, you start to feel nervous every time you try to speak English. You avoid conversations because you're afraid of making mistakes. You don't practice as much as you could because it feels uncomfortable or even pointless. And what happens? You don't improve as much as you want. Then you say to yourself, see? I knew it. I'm not good at languages. But here's the question, was the problem really that you can't learn languages? Or was it that your belief shaped your actions, and your actions created the result? This doesn't just happen with languages, it happens in many parts of life. Think about relationships. If you believe that people can't be trusted, you'll probably act in ways that keep people at a distance. Maybe you don't open up, maybe you don't give them a chance to get close. And because of that, people feel the distance and don't connect with you. Then you say, see, I was right. People can't be trusted. But the truth is, it wasn't only about other people, it was your belief that shaped the experience. Or think about work or studies. If someone believes, I'm not leadership material, they'll avoid speaking up in meetings. They won't volunteer for projects. They'll shy away from opportunities where they could grow. And as a result, people don't see them as a leader. The belief becomes true because their actions made it true. On the other hand, if someone believes, I can grow into a leader, they act differently. They start sharing ideas, they take small risks, they slowly build confidence. And over time, they create a reality where leadership becomes possible. The really exciting part is this. Self-fulfilling prophecies don't have to be negative. They can be positive too. If you believe you can improve, if you believe that effort pays off, then you're more likely to keep going when things get hard. You're more likely to look for solutions instead of giving up. And because of that, you actually do improve and you do see results. Your positive belief leads to positive action. And positive action leads to success. This is why changing your beliefs can be so powerful. When you change what you believe, you change how you act. And when you change how you act, you start creating a new reality for yourself. Let me share a quick story. A few years ago, I had a friend who wanted to apply for a new job. But she kept saying, I'm sure I won't get it. I'm just not the kind of person they want. Because of that belief, she didn't put much effort into her application. She didn't practice for the interview, because in her mind, there was no point. And as you can probably guess, she didn't get the job. But here's the thing, it wasn't that she wasn't qualified. It was her belief that shaped her effort, and her effort shaped the result. Afterward, my friend said, "See, I knew I wouldn't get it." But the truth was, her belief had shaped how she prepared. Her lack of action played a big part in the result. So, what can we learn from this? We can learn that beliefs and actions are deeply connected. Your beliefs guide what you do, and what you do creates the results you see. That's why it's so important to become aware of your beliefs. Ask yourself, what do I believe about myself? About my abilities? About other people? Then ask, are these beliefs helping me or are they making life harder? When you start to see how your beliefs shape your actions, you can begin to break the cycle. You can choose to believe something that helps you grow, something that gives you strength. And when you do that, your actions will change, and so will your reality. Limiting versus empowering beliefs. Now that we've talked about how beliefs shape your reality, let's take a closer look at the two types of beliefs that have the biggest impact on your life: limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs. These two kinds of beliefs are like two different voices in your mind. One voice tries to hold you back, to keep you small, to stop you from reaching your potential. That's the voice of limiting beliefs. The other voice pushes you forward. It tells you that you can learn, grow, and achieve. That's the voice of empowering beliefs. And the voice you choose to listen to will make all the difference in the kind of life you create for yourself. So, what exactly is a limiting belief? It's an idea you hold about yourself, other people, or the world that stops you from trying new things or reaching your goals. It's a belief that builds a wall in your mind and says, you can't do that. Limiting beliefs often sound like, I'll never be good at this. I'm just not that kind of person. I always fail at things like this. People like me don't succeed. The problem with limiting beliefs is that they feel so real. And because you believe them, you act in ways that match the belief. You don't try, or you give up quickly, or you feel afraid to take risks. And as we've already seen, your actions then create a reality that seems to prove your belief was right, even if it wasn't true in the first place. On the other hand, empowering beliefs do the opposite. They give you energy, motivation, and courage. They help you see challenges as opportunities, not as walls you can't climb. Empowering beliefs sound like, I can improve with practice. I don't have to be perfect to make progress. Mistakes are part of learning. Every day is a chance to grow. When you hold empowering beliefs, you're more likely to keep going when things get difficult. You're more likely to look for solutions instead of focusing only on problems. And because you act with more confidence and hope, you begin to see better results. Let me give you a personal example. A few years ago, I believed I wasn't good at public speaking. This belief started after a bad experience giving a short speech at school. I felt nervous, forgot some of my words, and saw people looking confused. After that, I told myself, I'm just not a good speaker. I always mess up. For a long time, that belief stopped me from speaking up in meetings or sharing my ideas. But one day, I was given the chance to run a small workshop. I almost said no because of my belief. But then I thought, what if this is just a belief I've accepted? What if I can actually learn to be better? So I decided to prepare carefully. I practiced a few times at home. And I reminded myself that I didn't need to be perfect, I just needed to do my best. And you know what? The workshop went well. People thanked me afterward and said they found it helpful. That experience helped me change my belief. I started to tell myself, I can be a good speaker if I prepare and practice. And you know what? Each time I spoke after that, I felt a little more confident. That empowering belief helped me grow, and it opened new doors for me. This is why it's so important to become aware of the beliefs you hold. Many of us walk around every day with limiting beliefs we don't even notice. They feel normal because we've carried them for so long. But if we stop and ask ourselves the right questions, we can start to see them clearly. So let me invite you to do that right now. Take a moment to think, what limiting belief might be holding you back? Maybe it's about your English learning journey. Maybe you tell yourself, I'll never speak fluently. I always forget new words. Or maybe it's a belief about another part of your life, your work, your relationships, or your dreams. Whatever it is, just notice it. You don't have to judge yourself or feel bad about it. The first step is simply to see it. Once you see it, you can start to question it. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or is this just a story I've been telling myself? And little by little, you can create a new empowering belief, one that helps you move forward instead of holding you back. Can we change our beliefs? By now, you might be wondering, is it really possible to change our beliefs? The answer is yes. The good news is that beliefs are not set in stone. They are not something you're born with that you can never change. In fact, science tells us that our brains can grow and change throughout our lives. This ability is called neuroplasticity. You don't need to remember the long word, but the idea is simple. When you think in new ways, when you practice new skills, or when you choose new beliefs, your brain starts to build new connections. The more you repeat something, the stronger those connections become. That's how you form new habits, new ways of thinking, and yes, even new beliefs. So even if you've held a certain belief for many years, it doesn't mean you have to keep it forever. With time and effort, you can create new beliefs that help you grow and move forward. Of course, changing a belief doesn't happen overnight. It takes awareness, patience, and practice. The first step is to start questioning your beliefs. Many of us never stop to ask, is this belief really true? Where did this belief come from? But when you start asking these kinds of questions, you open the door to change. For example, if you always tell yourself, I'm not good at English speaking, try asking, why do I believe this? Is it because of one bad experience? Is it because I'm comparing myself to someone else? Is it really true that I can improve? Very often, you'll realize that your belief is based on old experiences, fear, or things other people told you. But that doesn't mean the belief is true today. Just by noticing your belief and questioning it, you start to take away its power over you. Another powerful tool to help change your beliefs is affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements that you repeat to yourself. At first, they might feel a bit strange or even uncomfortable, but remember what we said about neuroplasticity. The more you repeat something, the stronger the connections in your brain become. So, if you start telling yourself, I am learning and improving every day, I can become a confident speaker with practice, you begin to build a new belief. It doesn't mean you'll suddenly feel confident overnight, but over time, these positive messages help you see yourself differently. And as your belief changes, your actions change too. You take more chances, practice more, and begin to see better results. It's also important to surround yourself with positive influences. The people around you and the messages you hear every day have a huge effect on your beliefs. If you spend time with people who always complain or who say things like, why bother trying? It won't work. It's easy to start believing those ideas. But if you spend time with people who encourage you, who believe in learning and growth, their positive energy helps you build empowering beliefs. This doesn't mean you have to stop being friends with people who are struggling. But it does mean you can choose to bring more positive voices into your life through friends, teachers, books, podcasts, or videos that inspire you and remind you of what's possible. Let me share a story about someone who changed their mindset and changed their reality. There's a famous example from the world of sports, Michael Jordan. Today, everyone knows him as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But did you know that when he was a teenager, he was actually cut from his high school basketball team? At that moment, he could have believed, I'm not good enough. I'll never make it. But instead, he chose a different belief. If I work hard, I can improve. That belief guided his actions. He practiced more, worked harder, and pushed himself to grow. That mindset, the belief that effort and practice could make him better, helped him become a champion. Of course, talent was important, but it was his belief in growth that helped him reach the top. You don't have to be a sports star to do this. We can all change our beliefs step by step and create new realities for ourselves. Think about an area of your life where you've been holding on to a limiting belief. Maybe it's about learning English. Or maybe it's about work, relationships, or personal goals. What new belief could you choose instead? Even something simple like, I am a learner and every day I get a little better can have a big effect over time. Remember, the goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. Small, steady steps build new beliefs, new habits, and new results. So as you go through your day, try to notice your beliefs. When you hear that little voice in your head saying, I can't, stop and ask, is that really true, or is that just an old belief I can change? Because the truth is, you have the power to shape your beliefs. And when you do, you start shaping your life. And when you shape your beliefs, you shape your reality. How to start shaping new beliefs. Now that we've talked about how beliefs shape your reality and how it's possible to change them, let's look at some practical ways to actually start doing this. I know changing your beliefs can sound like a big, maybe even difficult task, but the truth is, you don't have to change everything overnight. In fact, small, simple actions that you repeat every day are often the most powerful. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Even small steps, taken regularly, can lead to big changes over time. 1. Notice your self-talk. The first thing you can do is start noticing your self-talk. Self-talk is the quiet voice in your mind, the thoughts that run through your head all day. You might not even be aware of them most of the time, but they have a big influence on your beliefs. For example, maybe you make a mistake and immediately think, I always mess things up. Or maybe you try something new and think, this is too hard for me. These thoughts might feel automatic, but they actually show your deeper beliefs. So the first step is simply to listen. Pay attention. When you hear yourself thinking something negative or limiting, pause and ask yourself, is this really true, or is this just an old belief that isn't helping me anymore? You don't have to change the thought right away. Just noticing it is already a powerful first step. 2. Journaling. Another helpful practice is journaling. You don't have to write pages every day. Just take 5 or 10 minutes to write down your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs about something that matters to you. For example, you could write about your English learning journey. What do you believe about your ability to improve? What do you believe about making mistakes? When you see your beliefs written down, it becomes easier to understand them. And once you see them clearly, you can start asking, is this belief helping me? What would I like to believe instead? Journaling helps you slow down, reflect, and connect with what's really going on in your mind. That's where real change begins. 3. Visualization. Visualization is another powerful tool for shaping new beliefs. This simply means closing your eyes and imagining yourself as the person you want to be. For example, you can imagine yourself speaking English with confidence, having a conversation without fear, giving a presentation and feeling proud of yourself. When you visualize something in detail, how it looks, how it feels, even what you hear or say, your brain starts to build new connections. It begins to believe that this future version of you is possible. The more you practice, the stronger those new beliefs become. It might feel strange at first, but even a few minutes a day is enough to start planting positive beliefs in your mind. Another small daily habit that can help is using simple affirmations. You don't need a long list. Even 1 or 2 short positive sentences that you repeat every day can make a big difference. For example, I am learning and improving every day. I can handle challenges with courage. I deserve to succeed. The key is to choose affirmations that feel right for you and that speak to the beliefs you want to grow. At first, they might feel a little strange or unnatural. That's normal. But over time, as you repeat these positive messages, your mind starts to accept them. And as your beliefs shift, so will your actions and your results. It's also helpful to celebrate small wins. Many people only focus on the big goals, like becoming fluent in English or getting a new job. But small steps matter just as much. Maybe today you spoke English for 5 minutes without switching to your first language. Tried something new at work. Noticed a limiting belief and chose to question it. These are all signs of growth, and they deserve to be noticed and celebrated. When you focus on progress instead of perfection, you build confidence and motivation. Little by little, you build new beliefs about who you are and what you can do. So today, I want to leave you with a simple but powerful question. What's one new belief you'd like to practice today? Just one. Maybe it's something like, I can improve my English if I keep going. I am strong enough to handle challenges. Choose a belief that feels positive, helpful, and possible. Then think about one small thing you can do to practice that belief. Maybe it's writing it in your journal, saying it out loud, imagining yourself living that belief through visualization. Whatever you choose, remember, it's not about changing everything at once. It's about small, consistent steps that over time create a new reality. Wrapping up. So here we are at the end of today's episode. Let's take a moment to look back and remember some of the most important ideas we talked about. We began by understanding what beliefs really are, the ideas and stories we carry in our minds that feel true, even if they are not always facts. Then we explored how beliefs quietly shape our reality, guiding what we do and how we feel, often without us noticing. We saw that beliefs are very powerful because they influence our actions and the results we get in life. We also learned about the idea of a self-fulfilling prophecy, the way our beliefs can create a cycle where what we expect becomes true because we act to make it true. If you believe you can't do something, you might avoid trying, and then your belief feels confirmed. But if you believe you can improve and keep going, your actions will lead to success. It's like a loop that works either for or against you, depending on the beliefs you hold. Then we talked about the difference between limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs. Limiting beliefs stop us, keep us small, and make us doubt ourselves. Empowering beliefs give us strength, courage, and motivation to grow and face challenges. By noticing your beliefs, questioning them, and taking small daily actions, you can start to replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones. And when you do that, your actions change, your results change, and your reality changes too. It's important to notice which beliefs we listen to and decide if they help us or hold us back. We also discussed that beliefs are not fixed. They can change. Our brains are capable of growing and adapting, which means we have the power to choose new beliefs. Changing beliefs takes time and patience, but it's possible through simple steps like questioning old beliefs, using positive affirmations, surrounding yourself with people who support your growth. We also shared some practical tips for starting to shape new beliefs in your daily life. Pay attention to your self-talk. Write in a journal. Imagine the person you want to become. Celebrate small successes. Remember, even tiny steps can lead to big changes if you are consistent and keep going. So now, I want to gently invite you to reflect on your own beliefs. Think about the ideas you carry about yourself, your abilities, and your future. Are they helping you or are they holding you back? Ask yourself, what is one small change I could try today? Maybe it's noticing a negative thought and asking if it's really true. Maybe it's saying a positive sentence to yourself every morning, like, I am learning and growing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real and honest. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes where we explore more ideas that help you grow and improve your English. Feel free to share this podcast with friends or family who might find it helpful. And if you want, leave a comment or message to share your thoughts. What beliefs are you working on changing? What helped you the most from today's episode? I always enjoy hearing from you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Remember, Your beliefs create your reality, and you have the power to shape both. Keep being curious, keep questioning, and keep moving forward. I'll see you in the next episode.